Meet the Crowman. His real name is Claus. He is 48 years old, and he lives in Denmark. In the last 12 months alone, Claus has spent more than 1,300 hours with his flock of crows.
When I started visiting the crows 3 to 4 years ago, it was during a period of major changes in my life. After an accident, I was knocked 20 years back and now, again, sat with severe PTSD. To say the least, I was on the verge of giving up on everything I have fought for and worked towards for the past 30 years of my life. It is said that spiritually, the crow represents transformation. So if a crow has decided to give you extra attention, it could very likely be because it senses some sort of changes in your life. Since the dawn of time, humans have associated crows with death and bad omens. But if you look at it with a different mindset, it can also be interpreted as a sign of rebirth and renewal, so you don't have to assume it is a sign of badness. Maybe they are a sign that something new and exciting in your life can begin. For me, it was something like this, which was about to happen.
The Crowman had not the slightest understanding of birds and had no idea how fascinating and quirky crows can be. He knew that scientists often warn against projecting human emotions onto animals, but with crows, he thought there may be an exception. The crows he came to befriend behave quite similarly to humans when showing gratitude and other feelings.
To be honest, I don't care about the reason why the crows bring me gifts or seek me out. I think it's extremely cute, and it amuses me when they put a gift in front of me, looking totally excited about how I will react. It also looks like they get very fascinated by me when I pick up their gift and look at it with a huge smile on my face. I think that they are probably just as curious about me as I am about them. Scientists have told me that crows often bring gifts to their companions. The type of gift I have gotten, which is usually pieces of scrap metal, sticks, snail shells, shiny stones, is the same gift that a crow would give to a potential mate. I also once got a half-eaten crab, and later a huge toad that was still alive. I have been told that because feeding is a big part of a crow's mating ritual, crows might associate being fed with giving gifts in return, and therefore you might receive a gift as a kind of thank you for the food. But back to my story. I had never in my wildest imagination believed that I could win the trust of wild crows as it has actually happened. It was purely by chance that I befriended the first 3 crows at the local beach. I was very depressed and sought peace and quiet, far away from disturbing elements, and this is where the 3 crows sought me out. Maybe they could sense that I was having a hard time. I shared my sandwich with one of them, the one I later named Blackie. And the very next day they sought me out again. It is now almost 4 years since my crow adventures started. My closest crow friend, Blackie, I unfortunately found dead about a year ago. I have buried her where she lived while she was alive, and I find that the other crows have placed small gifts on her grave. Maybe by chance, but I like the idea that they know why I have made a memorial and that is why they bring gifts. But I have continued with my visits after her death, and now my crow friend, Ruffle, is actually so tame that he has jumped up on my arms, on my lap, and also up on my shoulders a few times. He prefers not to be cuddled, but I have been allowed to a couple of times. He let me gently stroke him on the wing and on his toes, and a few times on his back as well. My crow friend Baldy, whom is also from when it all started, has moved a little further down the beach, along with his little family. He loves to fly closely over my head, to snatch peanuts out of my hand when holding it up in the air. He also enjoys to snatch peanuts if I put them on top of my head. On my birthday on May 26th, I invited my human friend, Claudia, and my girlfriend, Dawn, to come visit the crows with me. And to my great surprise, it turned out that even though Ruffle had never met Claudia before, he had no problem climbing up on her arm and letting her hand feed him, as long as he could sense that Claudia is my friend and that I guaranteed that she would not hurt him. In my deepest imagination, I had never thought I could gain so much trust from wild crows. I love them of all my heart. The crows just keep surprising and fascinating me. And it really is the best therapy and treatment for depression and PTSD I have ever experienced before. I can only recommend others who are looking for peace and quiet in their inner selves to go out and become friends with crows. They have literally saved my life, and I can say that without blinking. I feel that I owe them everything, and I will do my part to take care of them if possible. I have previously cared for them if they have been injured, and I will continue to do so. And I will take pride in chasing away any threat to them if they are in any way in danger or if they are in danger of being harmed. Therefore, I would recommend people walking their dogs to follow the rules and keep their dog on a leash if they can't control them. Let it be noted, I'm going to defend my crow friends if they are being attacked. One of the crows I have taken extra care of, I called Ziggy, aka Zigzag. He had a so-called scissor beak, which means that they cross over each other so the lower and upper beak were crooked, and he therefore could not close his beak properly. Unfortunately, some youths had injured him by throwing stones at him, and while he was recovering, he spent a lot of time on the ground instead of in the trees. And one day when I visited my crows, I found him dead. A dog had attacked and killed my friend. It made me sad and frustrated because normally I have no problem with either dogs or other people's children, but I wish people would take responsibility for their pets and children, instead of just letting them behave as they please. But fortunately, there are still more good and pleasant days with the crows than the days when people are stupid. For example, the big bathing days in Crowland. It is typically after rainy weather that the crows almost dance around in puddles. Sometimes it looks like a kind of synchronized bath dance. It's also quite entertaining when they roll around in pieces of wood and bark that they've peeled off and thrown around in the grass. Or when they play in the snow and slide around to make themselves wet with snow. Some days I play hide and seek with them. It works in the way that a crow finds an object that it hides in the sand. Then there is typically another crow who steals it and hides it somewhere else, until I steal it and hide it in a third place. In the end, it goes completely crazy, and the crows try to do tricks and feints to tease me and each other so that no one can find what we have hidden. If I've made you want to befriend your local crows, then I can recommend the following foods that they will love you for. Unsalted peanuts and shell. It's one of the favorites, and then I think it's healthy for them, compared to what else they find in garbage cans, etc. Cat food and dog food. I always have dry food in my car as they simply love it. Eggs, they love both soft-boiled, hard-boiled, scrambled and raw eggs and shells as they eat the shells to get calcium and be able to lay eggs themselves in the spring. As extra good snacks, I can recommend cheese and different meats. Sausage pieces, raw or cooked food from the day before are also something they love as extra snacks. And different kinds of nuts and fruit, and finally, they also enjoy mealworms and bird seeds from the local pet store. Also, remember that they need water. This is probably especially in winter, contrary to what many people might think. In the winter period, lakes and other sources of water are frozen to ice. Opposite in the summer, where you think they need fluids because of the heat. But here they usually have puddles and lakes or water holes they can drink from. Well, thanks for listening and watching a bit of my crow footage along the way. I hope that I have inspired you to also go out and meet the crows where you are. I'm sure you won't regret it. Best of luck, and please, when you have made a few friends, send me some recordings or pictures of what they are up to. I would love to hear from other people also enjoying time with their crow friends.